on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It is 7:06. It's O'Connor and Company this Monday morning of Thanksgiving week. Thanks for joining us and getting it kicked off the right way. I'm Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock. Welcome back, Julie.
Good morning.
Coming up at 8:15, Trevor Manich will be here, and at 8:35, Senator Rand Paul. Last week we learned that Joe Biden will not be facing any criminal charges for his mishandling of classified documents. Now, just to put this in perspective, his mishandling of classified documents, including the documents being in a garage next to his Camaro, it includes him having some classified documents that he obtained when he was a senator back in the 70s that he had no legal right to have or take out of the Capitol in any way whatsoever. And documents that he had since he was vice president, again, with no legal right to own them or declassify them. Juxtapose that decades and decades of malfeasance to Donald Trump, who, as president of the United States, had documents shipped down to his home. Months after his presidency, they were kept inside a secure, locked office with Secret Service protection. And again, I remind you, he was a president, so he could have those classified documents, and he could even declassify those documents. He's facing decades of prison time with the charges Jack Smith brought against him. Joe Biden will have no charges. Joe diGenova, former U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia, former special prosecutor. Make this make sense to me, Joe. Explain it to me.
I wish I could, but I'm not a magician. The apparent discrepancies in treatment is a real disparity in treatment. There's no doubt that the current president is being treated differently than the former president. All it does is throw into starker light the fact that President Trump never should have been charged. None of the cases against him ever should have been brought, because that's not what we do with former presidents. And the proof is that we don't do it with current presidents, which is what Mr. Robert Hur, showed us in the case of President Biden. Now, we don't know for sure. That's a leak. No doubt what happened was Robert Hur informed the Attorney General, whose office then promptly leaked what he had been told by Robert Hur. I don't believe that Mr. Hur leaked this. The Attorney General, in all likelihood, leaked it when he was informed. Another sleazy bit of behavior by Merrick Garland, who used to be a good guy and now is a bad guy. The disparate treatment between President Trump and President Biden is obvious. The American people know that, and it's one of the things that's contributing to the downward spiral of Joe Biden. A very, very sick man in the sense that he is physically sick. There's no doubt about it. And by the way, I just want to know from the White House and the White House physician, what are the medications that President Biden is on every day to sustain his ability to minimally function as the chief executive officer of the United States?
That's a great question. By the way, a fine opportunity for all of us to wish President Biden a happy 81st birthday. This is his birthday today. While we're questioning his medications and how sick he is in the head, we would also like to extend our best regards on this, his 81st birthday. Joe, let's shift then to the tapes, the videotapes that have now been released by Speaker Mike Johnson that show what was withheld, what was suppressed by the January 6th committee. I don't know if you've been able to review much of it, but I'm sure you've seen some of the highlights of the worst day in American history since 9/11 and Pearl Harbor.
Well, I think one of the things that this shows you is that the January 6th committee was, of course, a farce. We all know that. It was not a legitimate exercise of the legislative or investigative function of the House of Representatives. Nancy Pelosi guaranteed that by illegally constituting the committee and placing the Republicans on that committee who weren't really Republicans, Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger. I think the 44,000 feet of tape that are going to be revealed will be helpful to the American people. Not many people will be able to see it all, but they'll be able to see some of it as a result of the work of people like Julie Kelly and others who will identify specific pieces of information. But we already know that the story, and it is a story, that was put out by the January 6th committee was false. It did not accurately reflect what happened on that day. We know that crimes were committed. Certain people broke the law, and they should have been punished, but not in the way they have been punished. The overreaction of the Justice Department, and more particularly the useless United States Attorney for the District of Columbia, Matthew Graves, who apparently really gets off on hurting people and keeping them locked up pre-trial in a strange, bizarre twist of public policy behavior. It all shows that this was the mistreatment of the public at large by lying to them. And, we'll see. I know Mike Lee wants to do an investigation, but I have to tell you, I have no confidence whatsoever in the House of Representatives to do anything remotely resembling a legitimate inquiry, because they are still in the midst of backbiting amongst themselves about whether or not to issue subpoenas, who to subpoena. It's just an embarrassing thing to watch.
Yeah, Joe, there's some chatter out there that this footage is showing some of the Capitol Police officers who testified before Congress may have perjured themselves, may have lied. These men have gone on to write books and profit from this. Do you think that this footage, the release of this footage, will lead to any charges against them or any penalties at all for the testimony they gave?
No, it will not, because the Justice Department is controlled by Merrick Garland, and the U.S. Attorney Matthew Graves would be the decision maker. He has already praised all of these officers publicly. No, nothing's going to happen to them. And however, let me just say one thing that galls me more than anything else, and that is the continued presence on the Capitol Police Force of Lieutenant Michael L. Boyd, who is the commander of the House Chamber Section of the Capitol Police, who shot and killed Ashley Babbitt. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This man should not be a police officer. He should not have access to a gun, in my professional opinion, as the former U.S. Attorney for D.C. The investigation that was conducted of him was a non-existent investigation. Right. It was a Potemkin village. There was no legitimate investigation of him. He did not allow himself to be interviewed. He refused to answer questions. He never should have been kept on the police force, and he has been kept, which is one of the reasons that I believe that the current chief of police, Manger, who used to be the chief of police in Montgomery County, should never have been kept on by the Republicans. But what do the Republicans do? They keep a Democrat on as chief of police. You go figure.
Well, yeah. I mean, Captain Son should have been, or Chief Son should have been brought back and reinstated, because he actually told the truth about what happened that day. And of course, he was summarily dismissed. So, I mean, I look for you, Joe, sometimes to tell me what can be done in situations like this. And you say you have no faith in any sort of congressional.
I know what can be done. You can issue subpoenas. You can set up a select committee. You can hire outside counsel. For example, the House leadership refuses to hire outside counsel to assist them in any of these investigations. They don't want anybody else involved in these investigations. They want their current staffs and the current members. For example, one of the things you do in an investigation like this is you hire outside counsel, and at the beginning of each day's hearing, instead of using 5 minutes for each side so nobody can do a legitimate cross-examination, you give the lawyer for the Republicans 1 to 2 hours of uninterrupted questioning of all the witnesses. And when he or she is done, you then turn it over to the members. They have rejected that model of conducting investigation. That shows you that the Republicans are unserious about conducting investigations of anything.
We got to leave it there. Joe diGenova, it's always good to talk with you. What's the plan for Thanksgiving? What you do a turkey? You do an Italian-style turkey? You just go straight to the pasta?
No. We are headed to Ocala, Florida, to have Thanksgiving with our son and his wife on their horse farm.
Oh, my gosh. That sounds idyllic. Enjoy it.
Along with our other son and his wife and all the grandkids. It's going to be a huge Thanksgiving on a horse farm in Ocala.
Oh. Well, we are grateful for you, Joe diGenova, and your amazing wife, Victoria. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you. You too. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Take care to you. I don't know why, but a horse farm in Florida, just all I can think of is mosquitoes the size of a bat. The bugs down there, right?
You think they have a big Italian feast?
They got to.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
I hope so.
diGenovas.
Yeah.
It's 7:15. WMAL traffic and weather every 10 minutes.
WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
Live
From the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Miss anything? Don't worry, we've got you covered. Get today's breaking news on the Vince Colonnese Show, weekdays 3 to 6, right here on WMAL.
Jordan Peterson is a Canadian, but let's not hold that against him. Not all Canadians are bad. Look at Billboard Chris, right?
I love how you say
What?
I am of Canadian extraction, so I love, and I think Canadians are very nice.
The one thing Canada had going for it was
vote the wrong
hockey,
way.
and they can't even play hockey right. They haven't won a Stanley Cup since, the
All right,
first
are you done?
Bush
Let's
presidency.
go to the good part.
All right, so Dr. Jordan Peterson
Yeah.
is absolutely a phenomenon, and he was on Bill Maher's show. So, and I got to say, Bill Maher has been bending over backwards to get some good voices on that panel to sort of tell it like it is and at least mix things up, which is what he used to do with his old show. I want you to listen to this because it may be one of the best summaries of what is going on, because everyone's saying, what's happening with our colleges? Well, we've been telling you what's going on with our colleges for quite some time now. Listen to Jordan Peterson there in the Belly and the Beast in L.A., Bill Maher's show, telling it like it is to that panel.
But what happens is that they are then saying that being oppressed is being
I don't know if the Holocaust.
Yeah, well, this is the main issue. I mean, part of the reason that you see all this foolishness on university campuses too is because people have bought this idiot meta-Marxism, which is that the way to look at every social relationship that people ever have is through the lens of power. And that is, we can put that squarely at the feet of the universities, as far as I'm concerned, is, marriage is a patriarchal institution, and business is nothing but oppression, and you have to view every single situation that emerged historically as oppressor versus oppressed. And then once you get that, which you can get in about 2 minutes if you sit in a course that teaches that sort of thing, you have a lens to moralize about the whole world through. And then you see the situation is that the leftists have already decided the Palestinians are the victims. And as you pointed out, if you're a victim, then you're morally righteous. And even more conveniently, if you stand for the victim, then you're morally righteous, regardless of what you do with your own life. And that's pretty much what university students are taught from the time they enter the university classroom. And that's how they, orient themselves morally. And that's at the hands of the radical left, too, Bill. And one of the things the Democrats also have to pay the price for, I would say, is their absolute refusal to draw a line between the moderate Democrats and the extremists. They're completely incapable of doing that. Like, I've talked to 40 senators and congressmen in the last 5 years. I asked them all the same question, including RFK. He wouldn't answer either. When does the left go too far? Well, we certainly bloody well saw it in the last month, didn't we? Because they got the oppressive narrative a little mucked up, we might say. And the consequences of that are going to unfold pretty brutally over the next few months.
In just 90 seconds,
Yeah.
he summarized exactly what we're seeing before our eyes and where it came from and who's to blame and how Democrats, that's exactly, they're stuck. They can't, because they bought into this because they've attained power through the entire narrative as well. And that's why we're now seeing the Democrats unable to stand by Israel in any sort of legitimate and realistic way. And in just that 90-second encapsulation sums everything up. Yeah.
It really does. And you see this sort of angstiness on the part of the left of, oh dear, we have created this monster, and we can't get control of it anymore.
That's right.
It's very interesting to watch.
And as wonderful it is for us to sort of watch it and sort of pop the popcorn and say, oh, it'll be nice. It is incredibly depressing, and it's nerve-wracking, because there is an opportunity here for Democrats to actually draw a line and hold firm and call out Rashida Tlaib and call out Ilhan Omar.
You see these hints of it, and also even with Biden, where you saw him and Blinken sitting there, and when Biden says, this is when Xi was here, and he calls him a dictator, and Blinken, winces. You still have these Democrats who are willing to actually call people out and sort of be the Democrats that they used to be.
Yeah, but their power and their money is way too invested in this now. Their entire funding infrastructure, and it started with Barack Obama. There was a time during the war when we could at least set our politics aside after 9/11 and recognize some right and wrong. And it was Barack Obama who figured out that he could draw this wedge within our country and basically campaigned in 2008 as if we were the problem, we were the responsibility. And if we just got this guy into office, hope and change, he would change everything and he would fix everything.
He was the first to sort of the chickens come home to roost, making that acceptable. And we're seeing it's gotten even worse.
That's right. And now it's become part of their narrative.
Yes.
And good for Jordan Peterson. By the way, the one thing you didn't hear there, because it doesn't play well on radio, was the stunned silence in that room. He finished his statement. Bill Maher was speechless. The audience, it was like crickets for a minute because no one has sat in that room and told them that before.
Yeah.
And it needs to be said more and more and more. The entire political lens that the left has employed in this country and injected into our body politic is everything is about the oppressed and the oppressor, about power and those who were victimized by power.
Yeah.
It's Marxism from beginning to end, and that's the CRT that we saw in our schools.
DEI.
It's the transgender activism. All of it goes
DEI
right
training.
back to that.
Yes.
And you say, why are these young white liberal women embracing transgender activism and the Palestinians? This is why.
This is it.
Because this is what they've been taught. It is 7:23. Coming up, Taylor Swift will not be at Monday Night Football tonight as the Eagles take on the Kansas City Chiefs. She's going to be in Brazil. But there's something else very strange going on in Brazil, celebrating Taylor Swift there. They're treating her literally like she's the Messiah. We'll tell you next.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station.
Making sense of the news.
News Talk 105.9.
News now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It is 7:36 now on O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in this Monday morning of Thanksgiving week. Thanks for kicking it off with us. Let us be a part of your workday and your holiday festivities. At 8:15, Trevor Mannix will join us about the Commanders' collapse yesterday. People need to get fired. I'm sorry. I'm done. Yep. I'm done. Fire all the coaches now after this game. 8:35, Senator Rand Paul will join us. People got to get fired there, too. Not in Rand Paul's office, but he's got to do the fire.
Right,
all that stuff. I'm Larry Connor. You're Julie Gunlock. We work in the radio business. I shouldn't even mention the word fired. You know, in radio, it's legendary.
I prefer jail for some of the
for
Fauci
the COVID
folks.
people.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that would be good. All right, that's all coming up. But first, sure, Taylor Swift. You got to talk about Taylor Swift, right? Because she's
she is the only one.
She's very popular.
Yes, she is.
The kids dig their Taylor Swift. So do us. Too many people my age like Taylor Swift. It's a little
Everyone
disturbing,
like my husband likes her.
Really? Because she's dating the football player.
That's why.
That's probably why. All right. Well, Taylor Swift
Not
is
those
in
long
the news
legs.
again. It's your husband. He only has eyes for you.
Okay.
Come on.
It's fine.
Okay. It's fine. It's fine.
It's his one pass, right? Everyone has one. Yeah.
Oh, really?
No, I'm kidding.
It's really good for you to give him the hall pass to Taylor Swift because I don't think he's going to
Publicly.
cash that
Yeah,
in.
exactly.
Exactly. I asked that with Meredith. So who's my hall pass? And I mentioned somebody, and she said, "You know her. You've actually met her.
Larry, that's
That
bad.
can't be your hall pass." I'm like, "Oh, okay." All right, fine. Apparently, there are no hall passes in the O'Connor-Dake marriage. Yeah, I've been told.
Got it.
All right. Anyway, Taylor Swift is giving a concert in Brazil. Now, here was the plan. The plan was that she would give her concert Saturday, and then she'd fly back in time for Monday Night Football tonight. Mm-hmm. That plan has been screwed up now because extreme heat. You know, they're in the southern hemisphere.
That's right.
So it's summer there.
It's a middle
and it's
blazing
hot in Rio de Janeiro. Anyway, when my baby. Sorry, I was going to sing the Rio de Janeiro song. When my baby comes to me, I go
there
to
you
Rio.
Go.
All right. Anyway, it's very hot down there. And sadly, why are we laughing about this? Someone died. Someone died.
Sorry.
Yes, due to the extreme heat, a fan waiting for the concert to begin died. And so backstage on Saturday night, she decided that she can't go on with the concert. It's been postponed.
So she has to stay an extra day.
In Rio. Poor thing.
Is it cooled off?
I assume it has because the concert is back on. Here's the weird thing, though. You know, what's the most iconic thing about Rio, of course, is the nude beaches. But beyond that, and all the thongs, beyond that, and the crime, and the corruption. But beyond all of that, the most iconic thing about Rio is the giant Christ the Redeemer statue, right? Up on the mountainside, overlooking all of the sin and debauchery, is this giant statue of Jesus Christ with his arms outstretched. Is that akimbo? That's not akimbo. Akimbo is arms crossed or arms on hips.
You know, I
hands
thought
on hips. Akimbo.
I didn't think akimbo. I thought akimbo was kind of all lopsided, but maybe I'm wrong.
Okay. So arms
Stretched out.
outstretched,
Just
like
say
I'm doing
stretched out.
right
Don't
now.
have to
It's a
be
good
all,
stretch.
yeah,
It's arms
complicated.
outstretched,
Just
like
stretched
that.
out. Yeah.
Everyone knows what statue we're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, to honor Taylor Swift,
No.
the government of Rio de Janeiro projected
No, they didn't.
onto the statue of Jesus Christ, the Lord and Savior. The Christ the Redeemer statue got a T-shirt projection that said "Welcome to Brazil," as if Jesus was wearing a T-shirt welcoming Taylor Swift to Brazil.
Just tacky. Just so
How is this allowed to happen? Taylor Swift received a special welcome in Rio de Janeiro on Thursday night with a projection on the city's iconic Christ the Redeemer statue. A shirt with the words "Welcome to Brazil" was displayed on the statue, along with the names of Brazil's states. The projection also featured symbols of Swift's music, including a scarf, a nod to her hit song All Too Well, and a bow and arrow, most likely referring to The Archer.
Look, I'm going to tell you.
We need to declare war on Brazil right now over this. That is the only solution. If we contemplate,
Nuke 'em.
Yes, I'm thinking
time to
nuclear
nuke 'em.
weapons might be in order. We just need to
This is why they were developed.
clear the slate. As bad as every time I think things are bad here, every time Travis
can I have a
Kelce catches the ball and they show.
Let me be a little bit of a ray of sunshine here. Considering our culture today, at least the T-shirt says "Welcome to Brazil" because it could be so much worse.
I guess that's true.
Right?
There was no rainbow
Because next
involved.
year, during June, it's going to say in Spanish, "Happy Pride Month" on Jesus.
On Jesus.
Yep, he's going to have a rainbow T-shirt next year.
Do you think Jesus would be a big Taylor Swift fan?
Absolutely.
Do you think he'd have Taylor Swift songs on his playlist?
Probably.
Sure, why not?
Why not? I mean, why be respectful of our Lord and Savior at this point when he's wearing a "Welcome to Brazil" T-shirt?
Well, apparently, and Brazil is, of course, known for their giant stadiums and concerts. Queen, I believe, is still the record holder for something like 110,000, I think, that filled an arena in Brazil for them. This concert, at the time, as she was waiting backstage to go on Saturday night, the temperatures hit 138 degrees.
Yeah, there was footage of her actually having trouble breathing.
Yeah.
Because it was so hot. So, wow. Oof.
Yeah. So
I don't really like concerts. I can't imagine going to a concert.
What was the last concert you went to?
I don't even remember. I don't know. Hold on, I think. Don't ask me questions.
All right,
like that.
what's your favorite concert you've been to?
Larry, don't
All right,
ask me.
so I went
All right,
to.
try again. I can't
did
even think.
Rolling Stones Voodoo Lounge, which was like late 90s.
I went to the same one.
Really?
They were in D.C., right? No.
Well, I saw it in L.A., but I'm
Okay.
sure I saw it at the
Yeah.
Rose Bowl.
Okay,
And
I'll go
at
with
the
that.
time,
I
it was
forgot
like,
I went to
well,
that.
we should go see the Rolling Stones because they're so old. This might be their last tour. And that was, 25 years ago, and they're still
Yeah.
touring. But probably my favorite. This is also an old British band. This is weird because I saw more concerts than this. But my favorite one was The Who. The Who at the LA Coliseum, and The Clash opened for them.
Wow.
1983, I think it was. That was a great concert.
What was your first concert?
My first concert, I'm embarrassed to say.
I'm embarrassed by mine.
It was Jethro Tull.
Mine was
actually.
mine was ZZ Top.
Oh, that's not embarrassing. That's
Well,
cool.
okay.
I think it was Jethro. Oh, maybe it was Oingo Boingo.
Oh, wow.
Actually, I saw Oingo Boingo before Jethro
Okay.
Tull. I have an eclectic taste in music.
Indeed.
I saw Kenny Loggins, too. It's a big year for concerts that year.
Yeah.
Anyway, none of us died from heat stroke.
Right.
And nobody's name and songs were
So she's
emblazoned
gonna
on a
miss her-
statue of Jesus.
So she's going to miss her boyfriend's
football game
team. Okay.
to sing in the heat while Jesus celebrates her. It's just another
Quite
day
a
in the life of
segment.
Taylor Swift.
Yes.
It is 7:44. Yes, that's right, Jethro Tull. Co-Pair weight loss has obviously been an incredible success story for me and for Julie Gunlock. Julie, I know that you had we mentioned on the air that you had some health challenges last week, and
I
that's
did.
why you weren't with us a couple of days. But now it's kind of weird to talk about Co-Pair because you were eating hospital food. So
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of control.
but you were able to check in with your coach.
E8.
Yeah, we got the groove on now because it's a birthday, right? Who's with me? Happy birthday, Joe Biden. It's his 81st birthday, and they're pulling out all the stuff.
It's time to retire.
He gets to stay up late tonight. He's going to
cream?
stay up till 5 p.m. Yeah, and yes, all the ice cream he can have. Joe Biden celebrating his birthday. He had some kind of event yesterday. Not sure what the setting was. It doesn't matter. He was on stage wandering aimlessly with a microphone, no teleprompter.
Being creepy.
Babbling and being creepy. And he spotted a little girl in the audience.
Thank you. And I love your ears.
What?
I love them. They're really cool. What's your name?
Catherine.
Catherine, what a beautiful name. That's my mommy's name. Well, nice to see. How old are you, 17? 6.
How old are you, 17? She's 6. You creep. Did you hear that boy?
So gross.
The creep part got left out there. I mean, I'm sure it's just an old man who's just trying to be, funny little grandpa to a little girl. But given all the stuff with him,
yeah,
he should just lay off.
Also, the fact that you don't talk to one of your granddaughters who's just about that age, maybe lay off.
Yeah, you don't actually acknowledge her existence. That's probably true. Well, an interesting new...
Also, love your ears.
I think she was wearing like reindeer ears or something, or like Mickey Mouse ear sort of thing.
Wow, that makes it a little bit better.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think he was, although you never know. And a little birthday present for Joe Biden. This got unwrapped over the weekend.
Here it is. Wow. Donald Trump, we have at 46%. Biden, 44%.
And this is significant because this is the first time in the history of our poll that former President Trump beats President Biden, still within the margin of error, but still significant.
Yeah, in 2019, 2020, when Trump was president, he trailed all of them. This year, he's trailed all of them in our poll. First time in more than a dozen polls we've seen a result like this. Some of the other ingredients that go into that: Biden has long had an advantage over Trump on likability. Look, at the start of this year, 39% said they had a positive view of Biden, barely 30% of Trump. We've seen consistently a gap like this. Now, the gap is gone. 36 positive on both, and actually Biden 1 point more negative than Trump. That's
so Biden is seen less favorably than Trump. But did you hear Kristen Welker there?
That was her throwing up.
Yeah, the nonpartisan objective doesn't have skin in the game.
But after all the in-kind contributions that we've given Biden, what is happening, people?
What was her reaction there?
30 of Trump. We've seen consistently a gap like this. Now the gap is gone. 30.
Dang it.
We're going to have to get some more indictments going, I guess. Yeah, not only is Trump beating Biden in the latest national poll from NBC News, which is already skewed and biased in one direction, but as far as likability is concerned, Donald Trump is seen basically as a little bit more likable and favorable than Joe Biden. Joe Biden is incredibly unpopular for an 81-year-old. So, yeah, maybe he should retire. The question is, will he? Will he step down off the ticket as people continue to openly speculate?
This can only get worse when I Love Your Ears shows up on a debate stage with Trump. And if you've seen Trump at rallies, he is not slowing down.
I think she had little kitty cat ears.
Fine.
Now that I see it. This was for a Friendsgiving dinner, by the way, with service members. And he
Are you 17? Just one more year and you're legal.
Yeah, that's a weird thing to say to a little girl, isn't it? How old are you, 17?
I mean, I think he's trying to, because little girls want to look older.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe. But, yeah.
No. It's 7:50.